So The Hill is reporting that more Americans trust CNN than Trump. So here's what they say. A new online poll finds that Americans trust CNN, The Washington Post, and The New York Times more than President Trump, Axios reported Tuesday. But amid Trump's ongoing war against the press, trust is largely split among partisan lines, with 89% of Republicans viewing Trump as more trustworthy than CNN, while 91% of Democrats think the opposite. Among all adults, among all adults, trust for CNN is 7 points ahead of Trump. Among independents, CNN wins by 15 points. So let me give you the overall breakdown here for CNN is this. 50% trust CNN, 43% trust Trump, and 7% say, I don't know. So people are like happy about this and tweeting about it and cheering about it, and all the headlines are like, CNN more trustworthy than Trump. Yes. In other words, they're trying to use it as evidence of like, well, our institutions are functioning very well. And it's just, Trump is an aberration. He's the problem. Before Trump came along, everything was hunky-dory. Moving right along, had no issues. And now Trump comes along, but thank goodness, brave CNN they're the ones who are keeping our democracy safe and intact and doing the right thing and fighting the good fight. But that's bullshit, man. And this is the very definition of a low bar. I mean, you did a poll, and it's only 50% that say CNN is more trustworthy than Trump, and 43% say Trump is more trustworthy. It should be 90-10. It should be 90%. Of course CNN is more trustworthy. 10%. Yeah, okay, Trump, that's the 10% in the country that's just, they're silly people who are like religious fundamentalists who have low IQs. There, I said it. But look, bottom line is, CNN does such a shitty job that they only got 50% in a poll where you have the most obviously ridiculous president in U.S. history, or right up there, I should say. I mean, the guy wears a beaver on his head and looks like he does bronzer on his face and goes to the tanning salon as a 70-year-old man, and he was a reality star buffoon, famous for his pettiness and vindictiveness and braggadocio. Is that a word? I think that's a word. But CNN, the number one name in so-called news, only gets 50%. So this isn't a victory, guys. That's not a victory. CNN needs to up their game. They just spent a week fucking melting down over a Trump tweet where, it's him, it's a gif of him back when it was WWF. I don't know if it was WWE or WWF at the time, but he was in it, and then he like clotheslined Vince McMahon, and there was a logo of CNN over Vince McMahon's face, and Trump tweeted like, yeah, I'm going after fake news, fraud news, CNN. And it was like, oh, you're encouraging violence against reporters, good sir. Now, let me be clear. Trump has actually done that in the past. He's done it almost quite literally. But this is not an instance of that. This is him, like, fucking around, just tweeting a gif. Now, you could say it's juvenile and childish. It is. But people were making an argument, if anything happens to any reporter, blood's on his hand. Pipe down, fuckface. There was a petition that came up like, we must impeach now over this. It was the fucking wrestling tweet that made you come to that conclusion. The wrestling tweet wasn't the fact that he signed a bill that only 6% of Americans support that gives away our internet privacy protections. Wasn't the executive order that allows coal companies to pollute the waterways. Wasn't increasing war in Syria and Afghanistan without going through Congress, just increasing war. Wasn't randomly dropping the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. Wasn't, in his first military act as president, approving a raid that killed a 8-year-old American girl. Those things, I don't know, what's the problem? I don't know. So he signed a bill that said, for every one new regulation we got to eliminate 2 regulations. Setting us up for another deregulation crisis, deregulates Wall Street out the wazoo, cuts taxes for the rich, outsources his economic plan to Goldman Sachs. The guy is a joke, and he's fucking up the country when it comes to policy, and a wrestling tweet! Oh, goodness me! I don't like that! I don't like playful tweets that have gifs of the WWF. And by the way, it's fucking fake. It's fake wrestling. It is fake. Hello, it's fake. So anytime you say anything, oh, you're encouraging violence, you know what the response is going to be? Hey, jackass, do you not know that that's fake? That's fake wrestling? And he's baiting you, and it's working. It works when he baits you. That sounds gross and somewhat sexual. They're cheering that 50. There was a poll that came out during the election. Trust in mass media is at an all-time low. All-time low. And they're using this poll as like, see, CNN's more trustworthy than Trump. More trustworthy than a known con man who's a fraud, who did Trump University to get their people's money away from them. They hired fucking known con men who had gone to jail for being con men to run Trump University. The low bar is unbelievable. But you know what? I don't know. We shouldn't even be surprised. They have Don Lemon talking about, well, maybe the plane that disappeared went into a black hole. Do you guys trust us? Are we a good news outlet? Wolf Blitzer did a segment with Rand Paul. Rand Paul was proposing some sort of bill to stop arming Saudi Arabia because they're massacring women and children in Yemen. So Rand Paul's talking about it. Wolf Blitzer says, but Rand, what about all the jobs? Wouldn't the profits of the defense contractors be hurt if we pass your legislation? This is CNN. That's CNN. They abuse breaking news like nobody. They did breaking news. Titanic sank 102 years ago today. That was a breaking news segment they had a few years back. Do you believe that? They're a joke, man. They're a joke. And they're using this victory. We're more trustworthy than that guy, the least trustworthy man on planet Earth. Look, I shouldn't even be doing these segments. If I was just a selfish, narcissistic prick, I wouldn't even be doing these segments. Because, you know, we're the solution. So they help me. Me prodding them to go in the right direction, if they were to actually listen, which they're not. But, like, that would hurt me. Because independent media is now the alternative. Now, there's a lot of things online, of course, that's bullshit. I mean, fucking Alex Jones is in this place. You know, he just had a guy on saying NASA's running a child slave colony on Mars. So you're going to get that. You're going to get the fucking Sandy Hook is a hoax. You're going to global warming denialism. You're going to get that online too. But there are good independent new media outlets, and I like to think we're one of them. And this is why our numbers keep increasing and theirs keep decreasing. So, and by the way, yes, our funding has been slashed tremendously. At one point, we were on a blacklist because of YouTube Apocalypse, and we made nothing. About 500,000 views in a day, made nothing. Now we're off of the blacklist, but we still had a giant cut to our revenue. And word through the grapevine is that it's going to get worse. So you guys really saved the show. I don't think a lot of you realize that and understand that. But you did it through Patreon. But that's the model of the future for independent media and new media. And by the way, if you're so inclined, which, you know, this means the world, you have no idea, patreon.com/seculartalk, just $2 a month is really all we ask. It's like you're buying me a cup of coffee every month, basically. And that means the world. And we're trying to do it the grassroots model. So fund through the grassroots, continue with the same quality show, pump out the same amount of content. Just, you know, we change the funding structure up where you guys are the primary funders of the show. So patreon.com/seculartalk. There's a few options. $2 a month at $5 and $7, I think, if you want to go nuts and do $7 a month. But you guys save the show. I love you for that. And it means the world to me. Because this is the alternative. People who brag about only 50% of Americans saying, yeah, they're more trustworthy than this obvious, ridiculous con man and huckster. The fact that that's not 90-10 is shameful, and CNN needs to look in the mirror.